Hello and welcome. I can assure you've come to the right place. This is the Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast, and what a weekend we have in store. Karaka Million night at Ellerslie. What a night it will be. All my usual suspects are here. Good morning, Paul Moate. How are you?
Morning, Fed. Yeah, I'm fine. It's you I'm worried about.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. I'm starting to sweat, but that's not unusual.
Steve, you okay?
No comment. G'day, Steve. How are you, Steve?
Yeah, good, Thaddeus. Good, mates. Telegraph last weekend. Levante got a much-deserved Group 1. A lot of spec/talk about the time, 106.18. And look, there's so many different variables when you're working out a time that quick in terms of the hand time, which was well spoken about on race days. The barrier draw and marking points, were they in the correct position? The wind factor on the day. I know there was a bit of wind coming from behind the horses down the chute. Tailwind. Yep. And also the margins in the race certainly won't support such an apparent elite figure. So when break it down, sometimes there's no clear explanation, and that's why it can get a bit murky on taking a clock measure. You just got to work out going forward in terms of a form reference, art versus science. But take that all aside.
Great to see you get a Group 1. Great to see you get a Group 1 wonder.
She hit the front probably a touch too early for the connections and Ryan Elliott, but she was just travelling into the race in fantastic fashion. She was one out, one back, and she got the job done. And Seamus also in one of the other feature races, the Guineas, is now set favourite for the Derby, $4.50 chance. I think it was around about $14 pre-race. Right. Will he get to a Derby in terms of pedigree? We'll find out. He'll get his opportunity going to 2,000 metres potentially next start, but he's a deserving favourite.
Needed a favourite that race, didn't it? In a lot of respects.
I think that was the key.
Stamped it.
That was the key. There's a few fillies in the top of the market. Not sure what direction they're going to go into in terms of an Oaks v Derby, but Seamus a $4.55.
Yeah, okay. Sherrick had a bit of a day.
Yeah, exactly. Wasaki. You told us to follow the money there, Wasaki, as well.
Well, I hope you did.
No, well, yeah, can't say that I did. I think it was a terrible result again. No surprise. Wellington Cup favourite now, Wasaki. Or probably always was he?
He was equal, but now he sits alone at $2.40 off a peak of $5 prior to the race. He got the job done. He just eats up 2 miles. 59 was a slight query, but just that class edge over what I'd said last Saturday just lacked in terms of depth, and Opie Bosson's the man aboard come Saturday week. Okay, that was last week. We'd get towards this week, and I promised you'd be back, and he is back from a little hiatus. Good morning to you, Brendan Popper. Well, looking forward to tomorrow night. I think you're on course. You've managed to swing it.
Yes, a very good morning to you, lads. I've missed you, it's fair to say. So, yeah, good break, good chance to freshen up, and what a time to come back, because this is, without a doubt, 6 of the best. It's the best race meeting of the year, and it is the best night of the year, and I just love the fact that it's 4:30 through to around 8 o'clock at night, and you leave wanting just a little bit more at the end of the race meeting as well. So I think it's the best meeting you can ask for, so much entertainment around it, and yeah, I think it's going to be a top billing once again tomorrow night.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, look, one man that'll play a major role in tomorrow night's proceedings is joining us now, boys. He was on last week. I laid down a challenge for him, a challenge to reach 500,000 for his punters club. How are you feeling, Luke, on the eve of a very big Karaka Million night? G'day, Luke Chemies.
Hey lads, yeah, cool, calm and collected. I think we're slowly getting closer to that 500,000, and obviously it was the 20th just gone, so I think a fair bit of coin will be rolling in, people getting paid on a Thursday night as well. So 24 hours to go, quietly get there.
I've got a running total, Paul, on the punters club, haven't we? What are we up to?
We're just over 380,000 as we speak. Okay. So another 120.
You're in trouble, Thaddeus.
I think you could be in a bit of strife.
You can deposit right up until around 10 minutes before the first race on Saturday. So I wouldn't leave it that late, but I think they'll get past the 500.
So that's a $50,000 bonus. But they've had a couple of bets already, Steve, haven't they? Have you had a look at those?
Yeah, they have. I think the first one was on Rapid Falls in the first. Luke can probably interfere here or intercept and tell us about those 2 bets and how you come about them. Luke, how'd you come about those 2 bets and who made those crucial decisions come Saturday evening?
Yeah, Mr. Lacey was pretty keen on Rapid Falls first. With Tiptronic carrying so much, we thought that 550 or anything above 450 we thought would have a crack at. Put up 550, so we thought, right, let's have a go at that. We know we'll be up against it, trying to beat that Group 1 winner in Tiptronic, but we thought that could be a nice way to start the night. I was pretty keen personally on Jodel and Gow. Thought the last couple of wins have been very impressive. Checked in with Ted. He thought our Alley Cat would be the danger, but could see it running top 2. So we've taken my lead here, 50,000 on the win at $5.50, and then 50,000 to play just in case it does get beat. And should be a nice couple of clicks to start the day.
Yeah, well, you'd be off to a fly. There'd be no doubt about that. You obviously confident you can get there, Luke, with a 24 hours or a tick over 24 hours to go?
I think so. This last 24 hours of podcast is usually, of any punters club, is usually when the money starts to flow in. So we've still got, I guess, over 24 hours, given that it closes right up until 10 minutes before. So I think we should get there, boys.
Lukey, just quickly, bet types. I'm keen to know how you're going to go about it. Obviously, we've seen the standard sort of each way win bets. Are you going to be looking towards your top 2s, your top 3s, your top 4s, your power plays, any of those sort of options? Do they interest you at all?
It all interests us, BP. We've just actually done an hour on Zoom before jumping on here as to how we're going to play the rest of the day. We've decided we're just going to see how we go in those first couple of races and then see if we're winning. That's probably going to give us a bit of a confidence to have a crack at some of the things that we like later in the day. So I don't know if we'll have another bet before we get to Saturday, but we have found a power play that we like. We might even get on the blower to Thad if he's still taking our call and see if he can post one that's not there that we would have liked seeing. But yeah, we'll probably depend on how we go in that first couple of races. We might even have a fixed odds Quinella later in the night too.
Hey, look, I'm open to suggestion. Always open to suggestion, Luke. So we can touch base after this. Look, it's going to be a huge night. We wish you all the very best with your things, and we will no doubt talk later. But good luck to the boys. If they want to get involved, Paul, how do they do it? Just customers want to get involved, how do they do it?
They can just head to our website, go to the Punters Lounge and click on the Boys Get Paid Punters Club section, and it's a pretty straightforward deposit process. To
get involved. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, Luke. We appreciate your time, and best of luck for a fair fight tomorrow night there at Ellerslie. It's going to be a great night regardless.
No worries. Looking forward to knocking you out tomorrow.
Enjoy the honesty. Enjoy the honesty. Thank you, Luke. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, boys.
There he is, Luke Kemmy's.
That's basically what it is. It's a heavyweight bout between the Boys Get Paid Punters Club.
6 rounds.
And you boys.
Yeah, there's certainly one heavyweight involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. But yeah, no, that's right. I mean, they're going to have such an influence on these marketplaces.
Well, we've already seen the 2 bets that they've already had. Individual punters are sort of following them in as well. So there'll be a significant liability on everything, just without their money on it.
I noticed that phenomenon last night. So Joddle and Girls are losing result without their bet, and so is Rapid Fall, Steve. So customers are following what they're doing outside of the Punters Club as well. So they're going to have a real influence, aren't they? Yeah,
for sure. And I think that's going to go right up to race day. We talk about the betting picture on Thursday and Friday, but I think that will continue on race day. The marketing that Luke and the team are doing, getting out the information to all the people that have been involved in the syndicate is massive. So, I can't see that trend changing in the next 24 hours, even right up to race start.
They're going to get there, aren't they?
In terms of the 500? Yeah, no doubt. You're in big trouble.
Yeah. Okay. They bring some colour pops. We know that. What is a great night already.
Yeah, and I think it's always punter versus the bookies, isn't it? Even just the one-on-one aspect. And I think that's what I love about it, is that they're prepared to have a go, and they've got themselves a nice kitty to do exactly that. And you guys are happy to take their bets and say, look, let's bring it on. So I think every element about Boys Get Paid has been sensational, and with since the concept started, not with just the Punters Club, but just with their community group from the get-go. So yeah, I think it's all big ups to Luke Kemmy's and everybody with what they've done around this race meeting, and it just builds more excitement. It's excitement on top of more excitement. It is really the cherry on top of what is such a good race meeting. So let's rip in.
I'm just looking at that Whispery Classic, and without the Boys Get Paid big bet on, the best back runner in the race is Rapid Falls.
Ahead of Tiptronic.
Ahead of Tiptronic.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. It's going to be something to follow, obviously, throughout the evening tomorrow night. Right, BP, we want to get to you for a Maiden of the Week. Now, before we do, this concept's been stolen by Weigh In. They've stolen our Maiden of the Week. They must have liked it.
Well, hey, look, I mean, I'm not too sure what to say to that, Thad, but good luck to them. Maybe we can team up here. There might be our own little clash of Maiden of the Week. Look, they can very much have this one as well if they want, because it is a good race, and it is the last race from Te Rapa on Wednesday. It is Canadian Girl, who covered the world to win this race, drew an outside gate. The start before ran second to Miss Ella. I know it was Miss Ella, Daylight, then Canadian Girl, but it was still a very good run from the horse and fought on good. What else do I like about this race? I like the second horse, not even in picture shot. Second horse, the Milkman, right out wide. Third horse, Selassie. Both those horses are in contention for the Derby. Notice that you lads quickly moved their prices from $101 into $41 in the Derby. Of course, they still have a little bit of work to do in terms of getting there, but they have their opportunity of doing so over the next few weeks. SVR missed the kick, has always been a big result in terms of a liability for you guys in the Derby market. From $101 to $21, was doing all its best work late in the piece. I do believe this could be a very good race going forward with Canadian Girl, who can go on with the job, but also with what I liked from those horses in behind. Want to be backing the second horse next time that horse goes around the Milkman, and I really want to be on Selassie. And look, I've got a little ticket on Selassie at $101 in the Derby, and certainly on the each way. I do believe this horse has something to offer if it can get to the big race.
Okay, he's found us another strong form race, Steve. We like these races, don't we?
It's the key about BP's Maiden of the Week, not just following the winner, but also the horses that finish in behind, tempo related, etc. Look, I haven't crunched the numbers in that particular races yet. I'll put up something on social media later on this afternoon around that particular maiden race. But going on, the winner, Canadian Girl by Vancouver out of Come On Vogue. So a bit of Australian pedigree bloodlines around there. In fact, the half-sister by Almanzor has been sold at the sales in a couple of months' time. So, tidy filly. Where she goes between the Derby and Oaks remains to be seen. Probably heading towards an Oaks via Derby, but as BP alluded, the second, third horse look potentially Derby candidates. So, nice race. But again, I'll just crunch the numbers later on this afternoon.
Okay, Canadian Girl for BP, his maiden of the week this week. Righto, lads, we're going to have to rattle our dags here. We want to touch on 5 races, 5 out of the 6. We'd love to do 6, but I don't think we're going to have time. We're going to start in race number 2 at Ellerslie. That's the Whispery Classic Group 2 over the 1400 for the fillies and mares, Steve. How does this market shape up?
You're headed by a Madalena, as we know. Fantastic 3-year-old back as a 4-year-old mare after an Australian campaign. First up here, so key around money. But open $2.50, Thad, but has been drifted to $2.70. But that's not alarming because the money is coming at the $2.70 price in the last 24 hours around the favourite. Jodlin Gal, which we've already touched on early part of the show, $5.50 now to 4.8. Best bat runner in terms of dollars invested. Our Alley Cat sits in that third line at $5.50. A Travelling Light, 9 double figures now, $11. A Faithful Feet, here's a move in the middle market, 15 into 13. And Dragon Queen, 10 out to 13 is best of the rest. So best lead I can give is Jodlin Gal, only just in front of a Madalena. If you like a Madalena, keep an eye on the price between now and race close, but from what I can see, she's not far off the mark in terms of dollars invested.
Yeah, okay, $2.70 a Madalena BP. Tricky with her. I mean, we know her quality, we know her over a little bit more distance, and the boys have put up $2.50. And look, to be fair, there's a few that they're shopping around the favourite here in the Whispery Classic.
Certainly. Now, we've just spoken about how great the night is and how good it is to have boys get paid with their money. What I will say about Saturday night's racing as well, it is a very tricky program in terms of trying to really nail something down, because you've got these elements of this race and the race next. And Madalena, who was first up back in this country, offered a spring campaign in Sydney over a lesser distance. And then you've got Sword of State in the following race. Both drawn one, both trained by Richards, both got Opie Bosson aboard. So you have those ticks next to them, but then you have those little queries as well. But that's what makes this night so intriguing, because do you want to lay them, or do you want to climb aboard the Richards Bosson train? Because if you are, you very much could be toing all the way through to the last race on the program with On the Bubble. So how do you go about trying to attack this race? I'm happy about looking around some place bets in this race. I think Madalena can win the race, and more than likely she's going to be my top selection. But I do like a couple of horses here that present at a piece of value. That is the 8-runner and Dragon Queen. Now, this horse ran third in the Ritual Mile, does come back to 1,400 metres. But if you go back 2 starts ago, she has pushed all the way to the line Banker's Choice now when running into second position. Now, we know Banker's Choice has gone to an absolute new level since then. And this is a horse that can sit fairly close to tempo. I thought she was a chance on the each way, along with Vanessa, runner number 9, who seems to be getting closer every time she gets to the race. She's Group 1 placed over the 1,200 metres at this venue. Lance Noble, Lee Thinner. So they were the two I was looking at as an each way or place play in the race. Top 3, top 4. Madalena and Jodlin Gal are the two horses that are certainly going to be in high and reckoning in terms of my top pick in the race, so to speak.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, look, I saw a little grimace there, Steve. BP straight into his work, Dragon Queen. You have a little bit of time for Dragon Queen in this as well.
I do for this particular race. I think she's an underrated mare. I think back to 1,400 suits after running in the 1,600 metre Rich Hill. You look at the race shape in the Rich Hill, the first 1,000 they went 59.14. So that worked out in terms of lengths, 8.5 lengths above par. So any horse that was within that speed duel was disadvantaged. It really did set up for those neutral back markers in the Rich Hill, which we did see late in the piece in the last 100, 200 metres. So she did extremely well to battle on to third in the Rich Hill. As BP alluded, go back 2 starts, 1,400 at Te Rapa, 1.5 lengths off Banker's Choice. We know he's been a sub-winner twice, including at Ellerslie and most recently last Saturday in the anniversary. And then she ran this time last year 6th in the Karaka Classic at Ellerslie. So she does have ripping Ellerslie form. She's only won one race from, 17, 18 odd starts. Yeah, I think because of that, she goes under the radar many times and not really out of a punting stable, the Moroni Gerard. So, yeah, she's definitely a 1x2, potentially 1x3 play Dragon Queen on the night.
Okay, Paul, what are your thoughts here? How would you be attacking the Whispery Classic?
I quite like what BP had to say. I think there's a number of place bets you can have, and I think Faithful Feet, where we've already seen a wee bit of attention betting wise.
Yes.
Look, she's won 3 in a row, all over 1,400. Loves so. The last victory was Ellerslie. The win 2 starts back. She bet Campionessa, Jodelin's Girl, and Banker's Choice. Who went on to win the anniversary on Saturday. So I think she's a nice top 3 chance. So Faithful Feet. Obviously, if Madalena is back to her best, I mean, she did hit the line very, very strongly in that trial. If she's back to her best, she probably wins. But if the boys get paid, force the price in on Jodelin Girl and Madalena drifts a little bit more, that might just attract me to just have a little bit on the nose.
The draw's so key around a Madalena.
Yeah, I was going to say.
If she'd drawn an outside gate, mathematically probably didn't have a chance over 7 furlongs. We know she's a 16, possibly a mile and a quarter this prep. First up 1,400. They've rolled the dice in a stakes race. Look, there's Genuine Temple, Faithful Feet, which is the one you're pretty keen on, Paul. One More Time looks easy. They're 3 horses that will look to ignite a bit of speed early in the race. From barrier 1, if she can be maybe 3 back rail, she'll need luck. She'll need luck. But I think there's Genuine Tempo. If she can just have that soft run, 3 back on the rail, she can rattle home some nice closing sectionals. And if she wins, she might only win in the last couple of bounds. But I think the draw's the key. She can somehow sit, hopefully, in that neutral position. If she'd drawn an awkward gate, maybe 7, 8 and beyond, she probably had no choice to go back and made it very difficult over a sprinting trip.
What's your gut feeling on the betting here, what you're seeing around Amaralina? Because, it can tell you a lot. How are you assessing the money, I guess?
Oh, there's enough money to suggest she's forward. I think Jamie's made it quite clear she's travelling as good as she has this time in as an older mare, when she was over in Australia. Just the concern is around the 1,400, but I feel with barrier 1, she'll need a little bit of luck to come off the paint. But I think there's enough tempo there. If she's round 3, 4 lengths at worst, coming around the bend at Ellerslie, she's a chance because she does have that turn of foot over a few of these key rivals. But look, she'll be very strong late in betting because of that Australian profile. Naturally, she's got a sure SP profile when it comes to New Zealand racing. So 270. I think she closes below $3, so we're not far off the mark.
Yeah, okay, interesting. I mean, Jodelin Girl has been very good, BP. Faithful Feet's going for 4 in a row. There's some form down the page with some of these ones, isn't there?
There is. I mean, we haven't even mentioned the third favourite yet, and that's our Alley Cat, who ran second in this race last year to Levante. And I think 1,400 metres is going to be her friend with how the race can pan out for her. She has a barrier draw where she can take a position. Of course, she had an outside gate in the railway, and they had to push forward from out there, and it meant that she finished at the back end of the field. So I think she has to be a player coming back to 1,400 metres in the fillies and mares category. And then you've got, Jodelin Gal, who just has gone to a new level with how this horse has won her last 2 starts. And I mean, the way that she won at Tauranga 2 starts ago, it's like she just joined in at the golf course. And then the same with how she won next start. She just won so easily. So you can see why the boys have jumped on and are keen to have something on her on the each way. Good depth to this race and the following race as you'd expect on such a big night, which means a good betting race.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, are you sort of with Amaralina, or are you looking to box around her? How would you attack the race from a betting perspective, Bops?
Look, I am with her because I think she's a horse that, a bit like Stephen said, if she gets that right run and the pressure is on, that she can win. I mean, we've all seen how good she was. I don't even think her best runs in Australia were maybe her first run over a shorter distance. We didn't see the best of her because she was so unlucky and things didn't pan out for her. So she's such a classic. She's a Group 1 winner. She's a horse who ran second in the Karaka Million Classic last year in what was, I thought, one of the races of the year when she ran second behind Aegon. So, look, if you factor those couple of things in with just how good she was last season, you might look at the form book and it's very easy to forget how good she was, but gee, her New Zealand form is outstanding. So if she gets that right split at the right time, I think she can chase them down. So I'll put her on top, but my bets in the race will be around Dragon Queen on the each way, and I'm keen around Vanessa. I think Vanessa's not too far off the mark in terms of playing a part here for trifectas and first fours. Yeah,
I agree with you around Vanessa and Dragon Queen. Steve's talked me into Dragon Queen in the last few days. Paul, what way would you go here in the Whispery?
I'm taking Faithful Feet. Top 3 finish.
Yeah, okay. Plenty of money on.
Yep, and I think she can hold on down that straight. And if Amaralina drifts just a wee bit more, Steve, I wouldn't mind having a little stab on the nose there.
Yeah, okay. The saver.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Okay, gents, race number 3 on the card. Gee, this is hot. This is the Cambridge stud Almanzor Trophy, 1,200 metres for the 3-year-old Stephen. What a lineup.
Yeah, cracking lineup, headed by the stablemates and Sword of State and Imperatriz. Thus far, more money sits with Imperatriz v Sword of State. Sword of State $2.70 off opening quote of $2.50. Imperatriz got as short as $3.30, just back out to the original price of $3.50. Bonnie Lass clear in that third elect at $6. Mohawk Brave, the third stringer, what you'd determine in terms of dollars, out of the Tiakau barn, 11 into 8, so nice little firm there. We Will Rock on the other way, 7.50 out to 9. Bella Luce, 18 into 14. Best of the rest is Rhinoceros. Good to see this individual back in NZ, 18 out to 26. But look, overall summary, Imperatriz holds more dollars invested v Sword of State, and also Mohawk Brave, that's your firm in the middle market, 11 into 8.
Yeah, okay. It's all Tiakau here, BP, but as you stated in the previous race, very similar sort of situation here with Sword of State at $2.70. Do we step in, or are we sort of looking around this quality individual?
Yeah, look, Imperatriz does have recent runs on the board in terms of New Zealand form. We've seen Sword of State not perform at his best in Australia. He's back in NZ. He's had a quiet trial. He has the barrier draw of 1. And of course, with what we saw from last season, he is our best 2-year-old. He was a Group 1 winner. He beat On the Bubbles, and he has been defeated by Imperatriz, and it was in the Eclipse Stakes. If you go back to New Year's Day, if you want to try and find a little head-to-head battle between Imperatriz and also Sword of State, I'm very much leaning towards Imperatriz just in front of Sword of State. I thought her coming back to 1,200 metres with how she's performed leading up to her 1,600 metre effort in the 1,000 guineas where she was super when finishing into 4th position. So I'm just with her, but I don't think it's just between those two horses though. I mean, how could you? I mean, Rhinoceros is back. We've seen the best form of Rhinoceros in Australia. We only had 1 start here. He had 7 starts in Australia for 3 victories, and his last start was in the Woodford Crystal Mile out of Moonee Valley on Cox Plate Day. We've got Mohawk Brave, who produced some win out of Awapuni, and it was high expectation he was going to do that. We Will Rock was a runner that could have lined up in the 1,600 metre Karaka Classic, but they decided to not push out to the mile and come back to a distance that's more suitable for him at the 1,200 metres. And then you've got a horse like Bella Luce, who looks very much on the upward plane. A race full of depth once again. And I'm sure this market will be the key pointer for punters about which way is he going to be more money towards Imperatriz. Does Sword of State start tightening as we get closer to start time? Yeah, a lot of interest around the shape of this race.
Yeah, there's a heck of a lot to play out here, Steve. Look, does that money around Mohawk Brave concern you? I mean, we're calling it the third stringer, 2 from 2 by Extreme Choice, blew them all out Awapuni. When do we start to, I guess, recorrect this market if it needs it at any stage?
Well, we've moved sharply already on Mohawk Brave, double figures into 8. Look, I'm happy to take a slight set against the horse. I know he's unbeaten. When I say an unbeaten galloper, it's hard to clear knock the individual. But look, he beat Miss Ella on debut. His last run at Alpurni rated 0.4 lengths above par for 65 level. Now, you compare that to Imperatriz and Sort of State and what they've produced in recent times. He needs to find 4 lengths, Mohawk Brave. Just lacks tactical speed, and from that wide gate, he's going to be back in the last 2 or 3 here, and because of that, I'm happy to take a set against Mohawk Brave.
Okay, Paul, what are you thinking here in the Almanzor? Very, very hot race. Bit of money around, though. I'm seeing a few red marks.
There is. I guess, as BP said, Imperatriz was a super win in the soliloquy, and she had the fastest last 800 metre in splits. In that 1,000 Guineas race where she didn't have a lot of luck. So I can understand the interest around her. Yep. I just think Sort of State, if only has to be around 50% of where it was last season to be too good for this field.
Yeah, if he hadn't had that Aussie campaign, how short would he be?
Correct.
If you know what I mean? That's probably
I mean, he dominated as a 2-year-old. What did he do? He beat On the Bubbles by almost the length of the straight.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him back to his best, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if he's back to his best, then that does look very, very attractive. It just, is he back to his best?
Yeah. The money's suggesting potentially not, may I say. But, yeah, look, down the page, there's a few others. Bella Luce, Will Rock. Who else have you got in calculation here?
Rhinoceros. As BP said. Well, as BP said. Some lovely, lovely wins in Australia.
1,200, a bit short. I think all his best figures over in Aussie and performances were at a mile. Maybe 14 at a stretch, but 1,200, I think they'll be a bit sharp for Rhinoceros.
Yeah. I don't know. Fresh, I think...
Top 4 bet, 26.
Exactly. Here we go.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what price that is currently, but someone will help me. But Rhinoceros, $26. Plenty of money for Bella Luce, Steve. Good win last time, but it's a decent step up here.
It is. I just can't have it on the figures when it produced at Ellerslie last start. Very good on the eye. I think it's a bit thin, the race, when it gets to Bella Luce and down. I can't see the winner coming down from Bella Luce and below in terms of the marketplace. I think in terms of winning chances, We Will Rock is the best of the outsiders at a $9 price. I've always had a lot of time for We Will Rock. You know that, Dad.
I do.
Just super when it won its maiden race at Taupo. Really did smash the clock. Happy to forgive it, Rotorua, when it was a beaten short price fave. Plenty of variables played against him that day. Had 56 days between runs. Hit a slow track, which didn't suit. And there was an on-speed bias that day at Ottawa Park where We Will Rock mapped worse in midfield. So I loved his win at Te Rapa. Again, he was just off a really hot tempo. He managed to hit the front, ran about the 200 metre mark. He had all excuses just peak on terms of the tempo that was given up front, and he still got the job done. A slight question mark around the individual is that he's had a slight setback, and that's why they went 12v to 16. But you just got to trust the stable that that's no real concern heading up here. But he's right up to the mark just purely on figures. We Will Rock. The only thing is maybe 1,200 could be a little bit sharp against some of those Tiako runners.
Yeah, okay. We've missed the third favourite again here, BP, for some reason, but Bonnie Lass, his win on Boxing Day was superb, and the trial behind Tiptronic almost as good.
Certainly was, and of course with Aidan Rodley having a wee share in Bonnie Lass, we all saw what happened on Boxing Day. It could be very much hard to keep the lid on things if he was a winning owner on Karaka Million night. Could you imagine that? So we might need an extra presenter on track for the back end of the program if that was the case, if Bonnie Lass was winning. So look, she was very good, wasn't she? I mean, she had a wide gate, she had to overcome a number of things, and she still delivered the victory. And what you have to remember here is this is a horse who has been twice Group 1 place last season, so she is of good quality. Is Bonnie Lass when she just placed in the Sistema Stakes behind Sort of State, and of course then placed in the Sires and behind On the Bubbles. I find it hard to get away from the 3-1 combination that being Imperatriz and Sort of State. The fixed Quinella at the moment is $4.50 around those two, so I'd be looking towards maybe having a little play on that. And then looking away from those horses, the one runner that I was happy to have something on a different market would be Bella Luce on the top 4. Bella Luce sits at around $2.50. Does look to be a horse I think that can get to a good grade. This is a big test for her coming up on the weekend. but just happy to have a little dabble at the top 4 if she can rattle home and get the right splits at the right time for her. So that would be where I'd be looking anyway in terms of a bet.
Yeah, I like it. Paul, what are you thinking in terms of a bet here in the Almanzor?
I'm going Rhinoceros top 4 at 360.
We found that price.
We have found it.
Excellent. Okay, Rhinoceros back in business. Let's hope we see the best of him as well. But what a race we're going to be treated to. Race number 3 on the card. The Cambridge Stud Almanzor. Let's move to the big one, the big dance. Let's get me the name right. The Doubletree by Hilton Karaka Million 2-year-old Stephen. And look, we've seen a little bit of a shake-up in this market, let's say.
Yeah, real betting duel between Dynastic and Wolverine. Now, Wolverine, when futures closed, was the original fave. After barrier draws, post the draws, Dynastic now sits in that 1-1 in betting, $3.80, been firmed into $3.30. Wolverine $4.50 into $3.80. A stack of money around Dynastic and Wolverine. They almost matched dollar for dollar. This time yesterday, it was clearly in Wolverine's camp in terms of dollars invested as the number 1 elect, but Dynastic has been well played in the last 12 to 18 hours. So they almost match dollar for dollar, the two favourites, but they do account for 70% of the hold when it comes to the feature. Fellini in that third line, $5 out to 6. Pacific Dragon, 9 out of turn to 10. Time Flies now in the race, 12 firmed into 11. Diz is Dramatic, 26 into 13, so halved its original quote. Sacred Satono, best of the rest, bouncing between 15 and 17. I should mention Lord Cosmos, also for Jamie Richards and Jonathan Parks combo. Rock solid at 21 with a decent syndicate involved. So, no, clearly what I can say, the two horses stand out here, and they sit 1-2 in betting, Dynastic and Wolverine, according to the customers.
Yeah, okay. Intriguing. Look, Grace and Grace come out of this market, Paul. And Time Flies sneaks in.
No deductions?
No deductions, yeah, quite right. That's a good point. But what else have we got to mention there?
Well, I think there's a significant liability on Time Flies in the futures market. Would that be right, Steve?
Yeah, he's the worst way home for the tab in the futures. But he deserves his spot, even though it comes from the disappointment of other connections. But look, he's drawn barrier 6. He's ran below bidding expectations, but he's bouncing between $12 and $11 at present.
And future proof as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace and Grey supporters.
Yeah. If you backed Grace and Grey in the futures market, then you would have got a bonus bet up to $50 back in your account yesterday afternoon.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, okay, because there was a decent liability on Grace and Grey, so hopefully those bonus bets are back in your account now. I'm sure that they are. BP. Gee, you can move a market, this man, can't he? Mr. O.P. Bosson. We've got a Dynastic drawn 5, and we've got a new favourite.
Yeah, look, do you go with the O.P. Bosson factor with Dynastic, who was, I thought, very good on debut when beaten behind Grace and Grey, or do you go for a horse who has the clear runs on the board and is still unbeaten? Has had a start here at Ellerslie. Yes, gained that victory in the inquiry room, but still a victory all the same. For Wolverine, and then you have to factor in the barrier draw also. Look, we've seen horses win off wide barrier draws in this race in the past. That don't let that be a complete put off around Wolverine. But how do you try and line those two factors up around this race? And that's the key, isn't it, around it? And then I think Fellini should not be forgotten, and almost has been. I know it's third favourite, and it's deserved of that tag, but it could easily start working its way down the pecking order in terms of market price with where things sit, because his 2 victories have been outstanding. I mean, he's beaten the $1.30 favourite in Time Flies, look, on his merits at that race at Ellerslie, which, as we've seen so often, that is a key pointer towards this race, the Karaka Million, if you can win that race on the Sunday, which is one of the key final lead-ups towards the Karaka Million. He has to be counted as such a strong chance in the race and give Sam Weatherly a big opportunity, and Jamie Richards as well. And then away from that I found it hard to try and nail down something as a bit of a roughie. I think there is a few chances here that can run those sort of races, like Time Flies and Sacred Satono and Mascarinto, who has barrier speed to be able to put it into the race. Alabama Gold is a horse who's probably not fared well in the barrier draw. Had he drawn low, he would have been, I think, a high chance of running in the first 4, but yeah, that's where I find the race difficult, is trying to find some of that extra value and which one it is to put into the mixture. So, yeah, having to stick around the ones at the top, and Dynastic maybe just because of that O.P. Bosson factor.
Yeah, Steve, I mean, look, he's really had an impact, and then what does he mean to the other Tiakau runners in terms of their prices? I mean, he's a factor, obviously.
He is. I just want to go back to Wolverine, because what she produced in the Wakefield, ran 104 and change over 1,100 metres, was a very good figure for Wolverine, but she did regress big time when running in a crucial race, the Eclipse, which is a key lead-up race, as we all know. That rated poorly, 3.5 lengths below par, the Eclipse, on New Year's Day. It was a bunch finish, I think 1 length separating the top 5. The original winner in the Eclipse was Pacific Dragon, lost it in the room, but he rated well below par when winning his maiden at Pukekohe, and the second horse was Time Flies, who subsequently has ran well below betting expectations since. So just a few white flags when it comes to the Eclipse. Overall, I think the 2 favourites at the top of the book have been over-punted. I think they'll drift on race day. I think the forgotten horses, BP, as mentioned, Fellini. He's done nothing wrong, Fellini. He's run decent figures. His maiden win rated 4 lengths superior to Pacific Dragon on the same day at Pukekohe. And he's improved. What I like from his maiden win to his win at Ellerslie, he's improved his figures. So he's on the upward spiral and he's looking to peak on Saturday evening. Fellini, he's drawn a decent gate, he's got a good jock aboard, and he's got Ellerslie form as well. I believe Fellini will be a decent push and could even close second or even favourite on the day.
Oh, gee, that's bold. That's bold. He's $6 with $3.30 on the favourite.
I'm about to hold off now.
Where were you going? What were
Well,
you
if
thinking?
Fellini gets crunched in, it means there's going to be a few that go out.
Yeah.
I do. I love the look of Wolverine. I think she's fantastic, and I think they've just had her going just to do enough sort of thing. And this is the bit that they've got her primed here.
Yep.
Burgesson, don't worry about that. I'm very, very happy with Wolverine. And
We've seen Probabile, like the wide gate you're talking about. You've seen Probile on the bubbles win this race. Also BP, when it comes from wide gates. But they were superior. They had a class edge against their rivals on their particular years. Does Wolverine have that to overcome this gate against this field?
We'll find out on Saturday night.
I'll be a brave man. I'm sitting on the fence.
He's saying yes. He's saying yes. Anything else down the page, Paul? Any value for us this spide, or are you sticking around the top?
I am sticking around. In fact, I was going to take a fixed odds Quinella, but I might wait because if Fellini does get crunched in, then I will be taking Dynastic and Wolverine just because of the Opie Boston factor, the lovely draw. And I just think Wolverine is something special. I think she we'll see this Saturday night. So
we did see this trend leading up to the Eclipse, where Thursday, Friday, leading into New Year's Day, there was a ton of money for Wolverine. Then she was lukewarm on race day, and they spec'd a little bit around her. I can see a similar profile on Saturday.
Yeah, okay. What was the fixed odds Quinella as it currently stands, do you know?
6:30.
Okay, so you're thinking we hold fire?
Hold fire if Steve's correct.
You're a believer in Opie Boston, though, aren't you? That's basically you're trusting Opie here.
Well, I don't know. I've heard his voice shouted out from the stands at Ellerslie time and time again. I don't know why. Why would that be?
Might hear it again tomorrow.
He's the king of
night,
Ellerslie, fair dinkum.
Yeah,
Come on.
he is the king of Ellerslie. BP, nail it down for us. Nail down the big one for us this year, the Karaka Million 2-year-old.
In terms of a bet, I think there's a nice bet around Fellini. And look, it might sound a bit of a soft bet, but I think 230 around Fellini to run a place and 170 to run top 4 attractive bets. And I mean attractive in terms of if you want to butter up and have a crack, or in terms of playing multis, because you've got a long time to be able to try and work out some multis. You've got races from across Australia and Gore and Trentham before we even get to the Karaka Million, so you can try and build some multis towards that. So that was my thinking around a bet on those two options, top 3, top 4 around Fellini. I do like Dynastic, though. I do keep coming back to Dynastic, and it was such a crucial jockey employment here of Opie Boston with this horse, with the barrier draw, and things could just pan out. He could just land in the right spot that you need to be. He knows how to do that each and every time, doesn't he? And by the sounds of it, he could have the horsepower as well. So Dynastic is my top selection. Bet in the race around Fellini, top 3 and top 4.
I like it. And if Steve's right, and we do see a push, as you suggested as well, at $6, the $2.30 and the $1.70 won't be around forever. So we'd be wanting to lap that up while we
With
can.
that Dynastic,
yeah,
you're punting the horse on Opie Boston and Spec because he hasn't got the figures yet, and he may well be the best horse in 12 months' time. Breeding suggests these Almanzors, if they're showing ability as a juvenile, they're going to be a cracking type as a 3-year-old. Watch this horse in the parade ring on Saturday, BP. He's a special individual, Dynastic. Couple of key gear changes around Dynastic. The tongue tie and the blinkers go on, so there's a little bit to work around Dynastic. If he wins this race on Saturday, she's going to be one heck of a 3-year-old.
Yeah, okay. It's something to watch. Paul, you're all on Wolverine here. Am I right?
I am, yeah. I see it as being a bit of a ding-dong battle, not unlike the battle we saw last year this time when Amaralinia and Aegon were going head-to-head down the straight at Ellerslie. So I do like Wolverine on top, but I can understand the love for Dynastic.
Yeah, we can understand it. And if you are watching the show, the $6 around Fellini may not last. So have a look if the other boys are right here. Guys, we need to move on. Don't mean to skip. We're up to race number 5, and that's the Bright Hill Farm Eminent Concorde Handicap. Steve, Group 3, headed up by a nice mare here.
Yeah, Babylon Berlin back in class after contesting Group 1 company in the Railway on New Year's Day. $2.70 the price trading currently, Thad, offer an original price of $2.50, so just out a couple of turns for Babylon Berlin. Festivity well supported in that second leg, $4, hardened to $3.50. Marcus Aurelius also well played, so the Jamie Richards pair in that second and third line well supported to beat Babylon Berlin. Marcus Aurelius, the fluctuations there, $6.50 into 6. Dragon Leap, no money here, take note, 9 out to 10. Familiar, 10 out to 12, and best of the rest is Gino Severini out at a couple of turns, 15, now trading at 17. So, look, Babylon Berlin, not friendless, but Festivity and Marcus Aurelius right on her back in terms of the marketplace in that second and third line.
Yeah, more Tangerine, BP, I'm starting to get nervous. Festivity, Marcus Aurelius, both well supported, but she's a quality mare, Babylon Berlin, and I think the barrier 10 might be an assistance rather than a hindrance here.
Look, she's just so fast. I mean, this is a horse that has competed against our best sprinters when last to the races and was beaten by is in the Railway behind on Trivier and Levante. She's a horse that can really come rolling down off that top camber to get to the front. You'd imagine she has a horse on the inside in barrier number 3 in Festivity who has been quick herself from the barriers, but they've seemed to have ridden her a lot differently of late. So you would imagine that she can get down, get to the rail and be in her favoured position. And from there, she could be very hard to pick up. She just might be a case of being too fast for her rivals up against this grade of horse. There's some nice horses in here, no doubting that. But when you line up her Group 1 form, will it be a case that she will be able to burn them off here in the Concorde? Festivity, big danger. Look, Dragon Leap, I mean, he's coming back to 1,200 metres. If it is a hard and fast 1,200 metres, if he can keep touch with them early and then get his big frame mobile late, maybe he's the one that can fill a hole and run top 3, top 4.
Yeah, I didn't mind Dragon Leap myself. Do we underrate this Marcus Aurelius, Steve? I see already a losing result. It's been some terrible results down south in particular, and he's come up north again here. And again, a losing result. I'm saying, have we underrated him?
I don't think so. I think you've got to work on the 1,200 metres first up as a big query. Right. Coming out of the stable, the word is the horse is flying. We've seen that in a recent trial. It's the right race to kick off. First up 1,200 metres after winning the Copeland's Mile. Just again, the awkward map probably sits in that last third, but he does love the joint, loves Ellerslie. I think he's won at least a couple of races there, Thaddeus. So, the stable are fairly keen on it, and if it all works out in terms of tempo related, he's a big chance to bond them late. Yeah,
okay, so it's Marcus and Dragon Leap storming down the outside late. Paul, how are you assessing the Concorde this year? I mean, good old Familiar, Gino's in there, Iconic Star. I thought there was a little bit of value down the page, but how you assessed it?
I've got one bet here, and it's Babylon Berlin. And it'll also be my anchor in the $100,000 guaranteed late quaddie at Ellerslie on Saturday night. She's only finished once outside the top 3 in her 13 race day starts. As BP said, the Group 1 placing in the Railway behind on Trevier and Levante. Even though this is a good field, it's not the Railway field. It's not an on Trevier Levante type class. So I just think too good.
270, happy.
Despite the wide gate, don't worry.
Well, she'll just push forward, won't she, Stephen?
Not that much speed in the race. Right. I see Iconic Star pushing forward and Babylon Berlin. They're the only two that are going to fight that position. I think from the wide gate, she'll eventually get across. She can be a little bit tardy out of the machine. But I think from barrier 10, she can just work on across after the first 200, 300, 400 metres, find the paint and lead, and Iconic Star will just take that sit in behind or come off heels and sit outside Babylon Berlin. But outside those two, there's little speed in the race. They'll dictate 1-2 in the map.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Maybe the $2, maybe Paul's nailed it. BP, what are you thinking here in the Concorde? How are you going to attack it?
Yeah, I think Babylon Berlin's a bet, and I'm keen to try and explore this race as much as I can in terms of a multiple bet. Last year, the Concorde was won by Trivier, and you had a couple of roughies that filled the minor placings. What those roughies are, I think last year was it just a Cantor finished second, Pretty to See ran third, and Rock and Affair ran fourth. Why do I remember this? Because I probably hit the first four and it paid a mountain. But the thing is that so there's a high chance that you could try and play around a Babylon Berlin on top and try and explore some options like Dragon Leap. Gee, even riding the wave if he could find his best form, if he was a horse that could get mobile late. So that's how I would try and explore the race with a cheeky first four and see if you can find that right roughie. But I think she's a very hard horse to catch in this race over 1,200 metres with her pure speed.
Okay. Any of those roughies, Dragon Leap you'll be including, no doubt. Gino, just give us one that we'd need to have in the back end, as you say.
Gino, for sure, he goes in every bet. Look, I think Dragon Leap, 1,200 metres, coming back to 1,200 metres, and with it being a race where he can be in the right half. Now, he doesn't have that early tactical speed, and he may not be able to do that, but just he has that opportunity of trying to be in the right half of the field. If that is the case, and he has that chance to strike, well, I'm happy to have him in that second and third bracket quite high, and maybe a nice place bet.
Yeah, 100%. Gino never lets you down. Paul, we don't have to sort of, dwell on what you're going to be doing in this race by the sound of it.
Babylon Berlin.
Straight out, win. Babylon Berlin, $2.70. As it currently stands, right, last race of the night, boys. I don't know what time it goes, Paul.
7:48.
7:48. It could be a very, very nervous time of the evening, Steve.
I wouldn't want to be in the office.
I think I might duck for cover by 7:48. $1.60 on the bubble, Steve. If multi-bets go the way the boys get paid, are thinking this could be one heck of a liability, and our man Opie bossing aboard.
Yeah, look, it's looking that way. He'll start the shortest price fave on the night on the bubbles. $1.70 firmed into $1.60. That happened yesterday evening around on the bubbles. He's been heavily punted, as you mentioned. There's a lot of multis already stacking on him, being the last race and finishing on him. In that second line, Miss Ella's also been well played, 7 into 650. So they're really identifying these top two in the market. That's where they're gravitating towards in terms of early doors and betting. Carmen Line, 12 out to 13, wide gate. Tudukaka, well played, 21 into $15. So it's been sitting at 15 for the last 24 hours, but the first Wednesday/Thursday morning was well played to Dukaka. A Sophisticato, rock solid $18, hasn't budged since the opening call. Tatuki, 18 out to 21, and the Stony One, best of the rest, also travelling at a similar fluctuation to Tatuki, 18 out to 21. So overall summary on the bubbles, best bet runner, $1.70 and 1.6. Miss Ella, 7 to 650. Only two firmers outside Tudukaka.
BP, look. He's been smashed in futures books. He was into $1.80 or $1.70. Just a little bit of trepidation thrown into the marketplace on the back of that trial, and then just a little bit of money around him now. But he's firmed again. What stock do you put in that trial, and where do you have him?
Look, he can do that, and I know that they've said that, and maybe it's just a case that we just try and brush what we saw in the trial, and I know that's hard to do that because of visually with what you take in off that trial from him. Look, he's been one of those runners that's had those little nagging issues through this preparation, and they've done well to get him to the spot where they are, where they're in that challenging position now to have him primed and ready for the Karaka Million Classic and try and do a probable to go back-to-back in the Karaka Millions. So he has that great opportunity of doing so. I think he lines up as still a bet in the race. He's getting short enough, isn't he, at $1.60? So does that mean that you want to really line up and chase the 1.6, or do you look to try and end him through a swag of multis, which is what the sounds of what punters are going to do? Away from him, there is a few chances, isn't there? There's a number of chances here that can play a part. Tatoki for sure. I think Tatoki was a horse who they rode back last time, deciding not to go forward with him, and he was still very good through the line because of how that race panned out. There was a race shape where Field of Gold landed in front, Dark Destroyer landed in the trailing position, and they were able to run away. He's done a very good job from back in the field where they tried to learn and teach him something to finish on into fourth position. That might put him in a good space for this race over 1,600 metres. I thought he was a really good bet on the top 3 and top 4 Tatoki. There's runners like the Stony One, Carmen Line. Carmen Line things haven't gone her way, race shape, and also with just how she's pulled up after that race, and now they've drawn barrier number 17. Miss Ella has blown them away. She's got the ace draw, so now she gets a prime opportunity of putting the gun spot, and hence why we've seen that movement and money around her. And Tutukaka brings Australian form. He wasn't at his best last time to the races when he was beaten in the Auckland Guineas behind Dark Destroyer, but we know he's a lot better than that. So there is still that depth behind On the Bubbles. If you have no interest at all of chasing 160 and want to try and find another price here that interests you, because there's a bit to work with around some of those runners in the middle market. But On the Bubbles top selection, Totoki is a top 3, top 4 bet.
Yeah, I like that. Don't mind that at all. Steve, look, Tutukaka, good money. What do we make of it? Pop's alluded to it there, obviously, and well, it was just a little bit disappointing, obviously, resuming, but do we give it one? Where do we place it? I think there's money for it.
I think you do. Look, the market suggested it was a bit vulnerable first up at Ellerslie. I think we opened it close to 3.2. When it came to the Auckland Guineas, he closed north for $4.50 to Tutukaka, and the overall race shape in the Auckland Guineas, BP's mentioned it, but just crunching the numbers, the overall race rated below par, 2.5 lengths, which is a bit of a question mark. The first 1,000 metres, they ran 62.64, which converts in lengths to 10.5 lengths below par. So it really did suit for those horses on speed. Mathematically, it was really impossible for Tutukaka to be in the finish, and notably the Landing, who was also on this race and running on Saturday. The Landing, the last 200 metres, ran the quickest sectional in the Auckland Guineas. So if you want to take that on note in terms of investing. Back to Tutukaka, blinkers on. Look, the Stipes report, Leith and us thought the track was a little bit firm on New Year's Day around Tutukaka. Well, it's going to be similar conditions on Saturday. We come the last race on a twilight meeting, so I don't know if that's a query, but just coming out of the Stipes report. But I think you've got to trust the stable. There's plenty of money. Suggest it's really taken decent improvement from its first start run coming back from Australia. Tutukaka, it's drawn well. Hopefully they can be no worse than their neutral position. I think he's going to be better suited a mile and a quarter, but I think this race was just too good as an option in terms of dollars being worth $1 million and heading towards a derby. But look, he has the second best overall figure in the race, which he produced in the Geelong Classic, outside On the Bubbles.
Okay, that's interesting in itself. Hope Paul Wilcox has reinforced the stand there at Ellerslie, because if On the Bubbles salutes in the last, he might be in a bit of trouble.
They'll certainly need some reinforcements. Yes, 100%. Well, I don't know. I like Tutukaka.
Oh, you're killing me.
I do.
Okay. Make the case.
As Steve said, he had some good success over in Australia. What, 5th or 6th in the Derby?
Blinkers on.
Blinkers on. That's a big change. So, look, just forgive the last start. It just, as Steve said, the race just wasn't run to suit, and he probably needed it anyway. So, I just, a top 3 at $4 is just singing out to me at the moment.
I heard Ben Foote, of all people, on the radio this morning on my way into work, who suggested Tutukaka was a bet. Trained by Tony Pike, of course.
Yes, indeed.
So there's something in that. Obviously, is it Cambridge or they're Cambridge?
Yeah.
The Cambridge
Mafia.
whispers out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You like Totoki though, Pops, as certainly a top 4, top 3 bet, and include any exotics.
I do, and this is a great exotics bet race. It really is. I mean, this is a race that opens it up, maybe more so than the race that I said beforehand in the Concorde, where if you're looking to try and play first 4, this is a lovely race for a first 4. If you're trying to play into those wide, expansive markets, power plays and top 3s and top 4s and what have you. So Totoki sits at around that 370 mark for a top 4. I thought that was a nice price to try and play into. But if you're liking something like the Landing or Tutukaka, there's options there to explore on the top 4 also. I always say this, but it is a forgotten bet type and an underrated bet type, and this is a great race to have a top 4 bet in.
Yeah, 100%. Pops likes Totoki. Paul likes Tutukaka top 4. We know that now. And On the Bubbles is Pops' top selection and will be awfully hard to beat.
Just on barrier 9, there's a bit of trepidation around On the Bubbles.
Yep.
There's still 500-600 metres BP before the first turn. The 1600 metre start at Ellerslie. So Opie aboard. I think you did some cover midfield. That's no concern. Barrier 9 the 1600 metre start.
Yeah, that should be no problem at all. I think you should be able to find that right spot. And yeah, those that are clinging on to their multis, I'll be hoping he can do exactly that.
Of course he will. It's Opie Bosson. What are we talking about?
I'm glad you mentioned multis because we've got a punter who's put a $2,000 multi on. Tiptronic, Festivity, On the Bubbles, Amarilenia, Sword of State, and Wolverine, all to win.
What?
To return 620k.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I didn't
There
need
we
to hear
go.
that. You could have told me that off here. Right. Well, there won't be the only decent-sized multi we see tomorrow afternoon. Right, boys, we better wind it up. I can hear the producers starting to scream in my ear there up there in Auckland, so we better go to the best bets time. Paul, we'll start with you. Where did you go for your best bet?
I'm going Ellerslie, the Karaka Million 2-year-old. I just can't get away from the filly there. Love Wolverine. I get the feeling they'll be bringing bags of cash back to the CD on Saturday night.
They've got plenty on, haven't they? And they've made plenty as well around Wolverine. Second favourite in this year's Karaka Million 2-year-old. Stephen, well, you're here. We'll go to you for a best bet. What do you like?
Yeah, I'll go to the Concorde, Babylon Berlin. The boys in agreement here. They've got this on top. I just loved his third, or her third in the railway. On Trivia, produced an elite figure in the railway, 4.4 lengths above par, and Babylon Berlin still ran above par, being beaten 2.8 lengths. I think she gets the lead after 300 metres, finds the paint. She'll be hard to run down. Babylon Berlin is my best on the night at 2.7.
Yeah, okay, 2.7. Again, that might not be hanging around if the boys are on their game. BP, let's come to you for your best bet. Welcome back, and let's hope we come back with a winner here, please.
Yeah, I like Babylon Berlin as well. But I'm going to go to Trentham. Of course, Trentham's on before we get to Ellerslie, and this race is at 4 o'clock, the Summer Cup. I'm going to go with Stop All the Clocks. Now, this horse has gone maiden to then win a 74 and stays in the same grade. It sits at a really nice price at the moment. She's at $6 in the market for the Summer Cup, trained by Simon and Katrina Alexander. Looks to be a real up-and-coming staying mare, this one, so Stop All the Clocks for me is my best.
That's it. We can build the kitty. Bang, Stop All the Clocks. What price we got, Steve? Stop All the Clocks. Do you know?
I think BP might be able to allude on that. About $6, yeah.
Oh,
$6, yeah.
So we
Yeah,
load
less than that
that
third
and then
one.
just work our way into Karaka tomorrow night.
It's at 4 o'clock, so just prior to race 1.
Oh, perfect. Okay, BP, we better wind it up. We'll certainly start to. You're on track tomorrow. You've got a full team on track. What a night we're in for.
We've got a big team on track. Yes, Aidan Rodley will be there with us. We also have Emily Bosson will be out and about. And we'll have Danielle Johnson joining us too to talk through the big races as well in the back parade ring and what have you. So yeah, look, our full crew and it is going to be a magic night.
No doubt about that. Thank you for your time as always, BP. Paul, we'll wind it up here. Well, promos. Run us through the promos quickly while we're running out of time.
Yeah,
what have we
well,
got?
they'll probably be the last promos we have after you give away the 50k bonus bet to the Boys Get Paid Punters Club.
What's the update? What's the running total?
What are we? We're around 388. 388.
It's another $4,000 while we've been sitting here. I'm in trouble. Anyway, promos,
Right.
please.
Promos, bonus back on the first 2 races at Gore and Trentham on Saturday. Bonus back on all 6 races at Ellerslie on Karaka Million night. There's a $50,000 guaranteed first 4 on every race at Ellerslie. There's a $100,000 guaranteed late quaddie at Ellerslie and a $30,000 guaranteed late quaddie at both Trentham and Gore.
Gee, so every race at Ellerslie is a bonus back race?
Indeed.
I'll be having a word to the marketing team. Thank you, Stephen, for your efforts as always. You'll be looking forward to tomorrow night. You'll be working with the trackside team as well.
Yeah, looking ahead and trying to find where the money moves are happening and whatnot. So, yeah, can't wait.
And Trentham next Saturday, Cup Day in Thorndon.
Cup Day, Thorndon Mile shaping as a beauty with a few late noms. I think Rogers definitely taken the late nom off Concert Hall and Two Illicit, so they look set to start. The Chosen One, still a bit of a question mark, but trialled up very well, so I think it'll take its place. Agon's the big query. Missed a start in a trial during the week. You're not sure where it's heading.
Yeah, okay. Going to be interesting. That's all to play out in a week's time. We're looking forward to Karaka Million night. Join us again in 7 days' time on The Leg Up.